Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the fourth episode of Concerned Dabs podcast. I am your host, Katie M. Kane. With me is my co-host, Will Terps. All right,
Yo, what
so
up?
today's episode is about solventless extraction. So last week we talked about solvent extraction used with chemical solvents, and this week we're talking about solventless extraction with no chemical solvents used. Our guest this evening is AO. He's a private contractor for Left Coast Farms, is it, Will?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to have him on in like 5 or 10. We just want to do a quick intro from me and Will. Um, so, Will, you're still out there on the East Coast, yeah?
Yep. Still on the East Coast. Hopefully heading back in the next week or two if the shop's ready. So
Nice,
hopefully that's
nice.
on the horizon.
Yeah. So, did you get to do anything fun this week?
I just played some golf and hung out. Didn't do much. Enjoying the last few days of my vacation. Hopefully, really ready to get back to work. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's tight, man. I didn't do much. I just went to work. Um, Rigged up a green screen behind us so we can run some
nice.
logos and sponsorship space behind us or something like that. Uh,
Absolutely.
so before we start interviewing Anthony, on the last episode, Will, you said that you would prefer, if you could afford it, solventless extraction all the time.
Yeah, most definitely.
And is that just based on effects and flavor, or would you say it's a little bit of safety too?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. Definitely with the safety. Even though a lot of the solvent extractors are able to purge out a lot of the like the butane and the isopentane and all that sort of stuff, um, there's a higher threshold for the amount of ppm they allow in solvent extracts, and so I definitely think it's safer in that realm. And then yeah, I just think the high is way more full spectrum. It's more of a full body effect, and yeah, I just feel like it's a lot more effective for a wider variety of ailments.
Yeah, so it to me it tastes closer to flour too when I dab that shit, you know what I mean?
Definitely, it's more true to flour for sure, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It feels like a lot of the flavor and taste made it through.
Definitely.
Um so I guess we can just if are you ready over there, Anthony? Are you ready to jump on? He's a thumbs up. Mitchell, are you ready to bring him on to the live stream? Okay, so we are ready. I'm gonna wait till I can see him on the screen on the YouTube, and then we'll start talking, I guess. Maybe you can give us. He's on now. Okay, so with us now, folks, live in the flesh, we have AO. All right, nice, nice. Okay, so I have a couple of cookie cutter questions, and I know Will has some questions, and then we just want to leave it open to you to preach the gospel, brother. So, my first cookie cutter question is: can you state your name, the state that you operate in, the company that you work with or for, and whether you're recreational or medical?
Yeah, so name's Anthony O'Bannon. I'm located here in Salem, Oregon. I'm contributed with Left Coast Farms. That's who I wash for and process hash for. And it is all recreational, but all the recreational shops out here definitely cater to medical as well. So everyone gets a sample or a taste of the solventless, which is awesome. Starting to spread more, and that's what our focus is trying to get uh, the community more knowing of solventless. No one is really educated on it, so it's up to us to do that. So
Yeah, dude, we really appreciate you showing up for the podcast because it is we're trying to keep it informational and
Oh,
teach
dude,
folks, you know?
that's the most important thing is the education, in the industry. And, that's what we're here for, to our best ability, you know.
No doubt. Okay, so
Always learning more too.
yeah, man, the process gets better as you go on.
Indeed.
So, how did you get into this part of the industry? Like, did you start out doing this originally? Were you a farmer at first, or?
So basically, I started doing flower rosin, I'd say probably about 5 years ago, when, everything started. Um, and then from there, we had our own company in medical OMP out here in Oregon. And we got our stuff into shops, very few shops. And then all the laws changed,
Yeah.
recreational came about, the new licensing you needed. So it was one of those things where um, we just kind of settled, me and my partner, and just parted ways as far as that, because we already had invested so much into the company already, and getting a warehouse and everything was, just wasn't what we were looking to do, because we were still small batch and small time. My one of my close friends would grow, medically, and we would process for them, in different growers in Oregon, which is awesome. And then from there, I just got more into hash. I've always loved hash, full melt, of course. And it's just a rarity in Oregon. It has, even Will knows, for so long we weren't able to really have it unless, you manifest it and grow the heads or get the material to make your own hash. And that's what I did. I started out with, some real shitty material, and just, got a bag. I had the bags in a machine, small bubble magic, and then from then on, I was using a cardboard to dry on it, and the stuff was green. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, so I've definitely, hash, you take a lot of losses in, but it's not about the losses. What you get back is so special. Um, the medicine of it. So yields were never a thing. So then I started just growing personally, and close friends of mine grow personally, and I would just, wash their material, or for myself, I would freeze my plants and just make head stash to share with my friends. And then from then on, one a grower left from left coast, Josh, he reached out to me because I do work full time at a dispensary here in Salem, Truth Dispensary, off Lancaster Drive. uh,
Nice.
yeah, so it's awesome being able to make the hash and have it on the shelf to educate the consumers on what's really going on, behind the product, not just a product sitting on there with no information behind it.
I agree, dude. I agree.
Absolutely.
So Josh, asked me if I wanted to be a part of that, and I told him I was already pretty, strapped for work, but that's my passion is to wash hash for a living. I want to do it full time. I'm just waiting for the right, um, outlet until then. But I do enjoy being a bud tender, and educating the people. I take, true passion in it, and helping the community and those in need. Because we all have a need for the plant.
I agree. I agree.
Absolutely.
So I
It's
took that on, and I do it 1 or 2 days a week. Sometimes I sacrifice a day out of my weekend, to go, watch the harvest, and it's awesome, and I look forward to it. It's something I definitely want to get into full time in the future. He is a more smaller scale, micro tier grow, but that's where the quality is. I feel like stands behind that too. But he grows some great resin.
nice, man. Okay, so it's dope that you were talking about in the beginning how the hash was green. I remember when my cousin got one of those machines and the motor broke after like 10 hours. So we went and got another one, and then that one broke after 10 hours. So then we just started using a power drill
Yep.
and just, plug that into the wall. And it felt like, yeah, we're making hash, but it was super green, bro, almost every single time. And it's like, we'll smoke this, but it's like we can't really turn this into loot any kind of way because people are just be like, what the fuck? It's green.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that's dope that you mentioned that, bro, because that was, I mean, we never really stuck with it too far. We open blasted in the backyard for a few times too. And
Well, what was the? I was gonna say, what was the quality of that material, Kane? That you washed first? Was it like older material? Is that why it turned out green?
Yeah, it was dry and it was trim. It wasn't,
Yeah.
nugs or anything. So we were just trying to stretch whatever we had laying around,
Totally.
Yeah. My next cookie cutter question is, what parts of your process do you feel are the most important and why?
Well, first of all, I think getting the material in a orderly fashion, as far as into the freezer right from the harvest, bucked and straight into the freezer. From there, definitely I think it's crucial having your ice and water, below, 30 before even letting the heads, soak and sit in there with the ice and water. But, I think the most versatile thing with a hash would be, just the care for it when you're in the process of washing it, not letting things sit,
Yes.
getting right to it. You know what I mean? And I think that's just the most crucial. I think the fresh frozen is the most important to me. Um, I don't have nothing wrong with dry material washing it. The rosin, if you're growing the resin for rosin, it just, with the aged or cured material as to a hydrocarbon extract, it doesn't, hold that color or the potency or flavor that it should, as it does in a full flex with the live rosin,
Dope.
from fresh frozen whole plant,
Is there a certain time limit after you freeze it? So you lop down the plants and throw it in the freezer. Do you want to process it as soon? Is there a temp you want to get it to, or do you don't want to wait more than 2 days or something like that?
Yeah, basically we're washing it within, as soon as we can. You want to give it at least a good 72 hours, I'd say, but we try to get to it within that week. I
Yeah.
think very, very crucial. I mean, I've washed stuff that sat in the freezer a little longer. I felt like it held a little more of a plant taste, more green, fresh, like a fresh earthy taste, rather
Yeah.
than more of the terpenes, uh, exposing themselves more in getting right to it. It's crucial. That's like the most important thing when you're working with, live heads,
Okay. I'm gonna go back to the top of my sheet. We had a bunch of questions I was gonna shoot at Will just in case we couldn't get a hold of you.
Yeah.
It's just like, say I'll pretend that I am a new patient and you're at work, okay? And
Right on.
I read an article and I came in and I asked you, what is solventless extraction? I've been reading about that. What is that?
Well, solventless extraction is a non-hydrocarbon, non-solvent based extract, only performed with ice and water, heat and pressure as well. If you're going to be, refining the resin itself as far as the heads, basically, it's the most cleanest. I mean, the most cleanest organic, product I feel that you can make in with the plant or out of the plant, as far as being that special or rarity of a plant or of a extract.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
And I feel it has a much more medicinal value for the patient, as far as more of a whole body. I feel hydrocarbons, they're great and all. They definitely hold their flavor. As far as potency, I feel like I get more of a cerebral high more than a
A little
full
bit more
body high.
monotone.
Yeah, it's I feel like hydrocarbons, BHO is more of like coffee to me, as far as if I were to dab it, it uplifts me, even if it's an indica. I mean, it holds a very strong head high, which, I do enjoy. But as far as if my most preferred way of consumption is definitely going to be just the rosin itself um, in its pure form,
Yeah.
because I have anxiety, and that stuff really just, coats the whole body.
Me
The
too,
mind,
dude. Anxiety
it's like
sucks.
Yeah.
it overwhelms you, and that's what I like about it,
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
so next question, what is keef?
Well, Keef is going to be a different process where they use dry ice rather than regular ice. You still use this, the same set of bags, as far as microns go. But basically, Keef, I would say more you would do with the dried material every time. So you'd be just extracting, the trichomes throughout the bags the same way as water hash. But I feel, water hash, you're definitely streaming out, a lot of the chlorophyll more, even though you're using the same bags with the dry material. I feel the keef, it just holds a lot of chlorophyll and plant matter still. I've tried extracting keef, just for experimental purposes, and it was not good at all. I feel like keef is just keef, and it should be topped on a bowl or rolled in a joint, the old
Yeah,
fashioned way, But I've never had good, trim bin sift keef. I've seen some all right rosin from that, but personally, nothing's better than the ice, water hash. Personally,
right
it,
on, dude. So the next question, what is bubble hash?
well, bubble hash is going to be ice water extraction. Um, Nowadays, we use things called freeze dryers. It's more of like it's definitely a production. With
Yeah,
the freeze dryer, it makes things a lot easier. Even though we all know the process is backbreaking. I mean, you know what I mean.
yeah, dude.
But we do it
That
for the love. That's
that's
at the
why
end
it
of the day,
costs
it doesn't
more,
matter.
and that's people are like, why is that more? I'm like, because guys had to do work to make this. They didn't just stuff a column and run butane through it and purge it at the end. Like the
Yeah.
process is way deeper with more steps, you know?
So many hands see the product before it's to the shelf, in a more sense. It's special, definitely, and I feel like that's where it holds its value and to what it is. I tell my patients or customers when I'm explaining it, after explaining, the the medicinal value, I like to explain that, a quarter ounce of top shelf flour that was used in all sense with a fresh frozen product, uh, a quarter ounce is going to be $96, for top shelf. The same flour that's being extracted, so there's no way we could get a gram of live rosin from a quarter ounce of flour, fresh frozen, and that's where I like to present that because it's that much more special, and it shows the value more, in a
I
sense. And
agree.
that and it's not on the, selling the product at that point. It's just more educating what it takes to get, what this takes to get this product,
Yeah,
and
man.
it's a great option because people like that. They understand more, when you explain that in a solventless way,
I agree. I agree. Is there anything you'd like to add, Will?
Yeah, just had a kind of branching off that a question. Um, I was wondering if there's a way to tell, like, when you're washing new strains, is there a way to tell if a certain, before you put it in the bubble bag, is there a way to tell if there's a certain strain's going to wash better than another? I remember talking to Cam Pua Extractions a while ago, and he I don't remember exactly what he said, but he told me there's this trick that he used on a lot of the strains he grew where if he would like rub the bud between his fingers, and if the trichomes would stretch and pull between his fingers, he usually denoted that wouldn't wash well because it would be too goopy in the bags or whatever. And then he showed me another strain that was kind of felt brittle in between my fingers, and he usually you know denoted that as something that would wash better. But basically, my question is to simplify it. Is there a way to tell if a strain's going to wash better than another strain, or is it just down to like doing test washes and small batches to see how it turns out?
Well, there is definitely, some tips and, tricks as far as before washing it. I feel like looking at the fresh frozen material, you can really see the heads and if they're more bulbous or not. Um, Not just that, for me in the hash itself, if I take the hash and I rub it in my fingers, like a 70 or 90 U, and it's not grainy as far as within the fingers, then I definitely feel if it's greasy, then it's not going to be good in the rosin, or it's not going to do perform well at the end as far as checking all boxes for being a winner. But when it's more grainy and it's like sand, then I definitely say those are the ones you want, because those are more uh they're more solid heads, they don't burst, because I've watched a lot of sativas, um like Durban Poison and Tangy and Lemon Heads, that just, I mean, there's heads bursted in my washer, because they couldn't handle the wash itself. They're not
Mhm.
meant for ice water extraction,
Totally.
or they're not meant for the isolation. They're more of a hydrocarbon, and I feel most sativas are that way. Whenever I
Very good info, dude.
whenever
Very
I
good info.
Thank you, brother. Whenever I do the with the rosin, it's the same thing. Any lemon or tangy, citrusy strains, they always require more heat on the press for some reason, and then they always butter out, and then the yields usually don't aren't much, So for like a head stash, I'd say yeah, by all means, but at the end of the day, we all want to make it worth our while for growing the resin and manifesting a run, and a crop and a harvest.
I agree, dude.
So I,
Definitely.
I personally, I personally try to just stick to the indicas. At the end of the day, of course, everything's a hybrid nowadays, but indica hybrids are great. I mean, there are some sativas out there that I've heard are great, like 24K, and Tangy, certain cuts. But yeah, that's what I have to say on that one.
Dope, dude. Very dope.
Yes.
That was a good question too, Will, because
Yeah,
that's a little bit of correlation that I see too. Is it's usually indica type strains. You know what I mean? It's some 98 Bubba, or
yeah.
I haven't seen like any Obama Kush yet, but if I did, I'd probably snatch that up because that was one of my favorite strains in flower.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and just with the yields, you're getting the really low yields with ice water hash. A lot of the times, you can't really, it's not really worth it to go into a like full room or half room of washing. At least in my experience, if you don't know how that strain's gonna wash, maybe if you have a
Yes.
test room, how to, to mess around with, but as far as production runs, if you went into it thinking, oh, let me just wash this half room of a strain I've never washed before, it's not always going to be the best financial
You can take a big
decision.
loss.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's very true, Will. When like pheno hunting for, um, like pheno hunting, when you're doing small batches, you definitely don't want, rely on a strain you don't know about. It's very key before you run a whole room or a half room of something. You want to know that it's going to give you what you want, at the end of the day, as far as yield and quality goes.
Definitely.
Okay, Anthony, my next cookie cutter question, as if I am the patient, is what is rosin?
I love that question. That's my favorite thing. No, but rosin is basically it's a extraction by heat, low heat and high pressure, depending whether it's ice wax, ice water hash. You definitely want to have less pressure. You don't need much when you have a greasier product, higher grade. With the flours, definitely, I don't press flowers, much at all anymore. But for those that do, I definitely definitely say it requires more of a higher pressure at that point. Temperatures, definitely are a variance as far as um, flour and hash. You definitely, I feel like a little lower with the hash, definitely by 20 to 30 degrees. I will say rosin is basically you're refining what either the flour has to offer as far as the resin, the trichomes, the terpenes, the cannabinoids. Um, Basically, you want rosin is a full extraction to extract the trichomes and THC. When you're doing it with the hash, basically you're just refining that hash because we all know bubble hash is already an extraction in itself. So you're basically extracting an extract, refining it. That's what I like to say is you're refining a product, a concentrate into something better and
So,
more dabbable.
so flour rosin is when you smash flours between two plates
Yep.
under heat, right?
Yep. I have, you got a 10-ton or 5-ton press, shop plates, power plates. Shout out to power plates out in Washington. That's who I like to run. I think he does great work and his plates work great. It's real simple and easy to use, not too much, to it.
No
Just,
doubt.
just having a high quality product, that's all you need, really at the end of the day. Same with hash, of course there's tech to the hash, but at the end of the day, the resin, as long as your resin's good, you're going to have good hash. That's why it's always credit to the farmer. I like to give thanks every time I wash for somebody that, cultivated some good resin and cared and put the TLC and time and effort into it. It really means a lot when I'm washing it.
Yeah,
I
dude,
can see the
totally.
care. I can see the care in the resin that they put in when I'm washing, and that's what makes it really special to me.
Yeah. So when making rosin, if it's not flour rosin, do guys usually use keef like that was from dried material, or do they use some washed material like that you produce?
Yeah, so I mean, you can use either, but we use the ice water hash. We like to, we don't use the 45U, 25U as far as keeping the hash, the 150. We keep only the 119 to 70U. We like to keep the main three bags, which are the most important, I feel like. And then we put those into, you know, uh, bags, micron bags, and then we refine it from that into the plates under parchment paper.
Nice. So does it come out looking like a puck, or do you guys just scrape the stuff that oozes out at the ends or something?
Well, there's something called a directional flow. So the directional flow, make it flow by folding it a certain way and put it straight into a jar if you'd like, or you could just collect it. A lot of people have different, you know, likings to different consistencies, and that's the best thing about rosin. You have your coins, right? You have
Yeah.
you got your batter, you got your wet batter. You got your sauce, you got your rosin jam. And the sauce is going to be the same thing as a hydrocarbon extract just done solventless by using heat and pressure in that jar to form THCA crystals and separation throughout the terpenes and the diamonds itself. So it's a beautiful thing. And my buddy Bear Rosin, actually, who I am partnered with and work with at not partner with, my apologies, but work with, and he does all the rosin. So I make the hash, and then he makes the rosin, and Josh grows the resin. So it's definitely a team effort. Uh, but Bear has definitely changed the game as far as, uh, making the rosin jam and the sauces, and creating a formation in a jar through a solventless product. I never thought, you know there would be any further from the rosin itself. And then once I found the sauce, it just opened everything up even more. Like there's advancing in this still, even though I thought we were already at the future.
Yeah. So you got all kinds of cool experimental stuff going on too, it sounds like, man.
And it's fun, man. I love what I do for a living. I love the industry. I love Oregon. Um, it's a beautiful thing. I met Will through in this industry in Salem, and we wouldn't be friends unless it was through cannabis. So I always give thanks, for that. So Will's a great guy.
Absolutely.
Same here, man. Same here. That's how I met Will. We used to
Oh,
work
yeah.
at Natural Wonders together, and I'm like, this guy's pretty sharp, man.
He
And
is. He's definitely
yeah,
well educated, man, and has a passion for it. It shows. So
Appreciate that,
yeah.
y'all. Appreciate that.
So, I guess we kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to throw it out there, just like I'm the patient, and I'm
yeah.
asking you a question. Can you explain why a gram of solventless costs more than a gram of BHO?
Totally. So basically, the reason why rosin costs more than BHO is because it's a more purified product. You're taking just the trichomes from the plant, which that's all what we all want at the end of the day, and then we're refining that product, which is already in a good state in its raw natural form, as far as medicinal value goes. But then we're taking it to the next level and refining it into an even better, higher grade of an extract. And I just feel like uh, the medicinal values are what is worth, that extra dollar, or extra cash for that product. Um, I will definitely say the labor behind it, the yields you're sacrificing by taking a lower yield. That's a huge thing. Regardless of the yield, we have to take it and we have to strive, like I said, small batch, mostly all hash is small batch unless you're on a huge scale as far as production goes. So I just feel like it's like your Benihana of extracts. You know what I mean? It's the creme de la creme. I mean, I don't think there's anything better at the end of the day. But that's my take on why I think it's a lot more. And I can definitely say this, guys. I can dab 3 grams of live resin, BHO, hydrocarbon, to one gram of my rosin. So the medicinal values show I'm dabbing this. I'm dabbing a lot less, but I'm getting more I'm getting more effects and benefits from the rosin than I do a hydrocarbon extract.
I agree. So would you say that like hydrocarbon extracts, like solvent used extracts, kind of bind to more just the THC and certain terpenes more than others, and like the hash rosin or whatever is
Yeah,
letting more stuff through that the butane is not.
correct. So I feel, and I don't know exactly. I don't know what the facts are, but I definitely believe that when you take that solvent and put it through, excuse me, through that material, I feel that you are stripping some of the cannabinoids, not the terpenes for fact, but I definitely feel you're losing some effects in making that hydrocarbon, to where when you're making hash, you're not changing anything. You're keeping it in the raw state that it was in, and only keeping what we want, from that plant, which is
Yeah.
the trichomes.
Definitely. And also too with the price difference, I just want to comment on too.
Yeah.
With ice water hash, you have a lot less of a yield too. With
Yes.
BHO, the average yield I'd say for most of what people are extracting in the market is probably 19 to 28% at 28% being the higher threshold.
Yeah.
And then ice water hash, I'm not too sure on the numbers, but I think it's, if you have a good run, you're anywhere from like 7 to 10%, depending on strain. And
Three.
then, when you press out that hash into rosin too, that's even, more of a, getting less even then, probably about 90%. So,
Right.
um,
And that's
yeah,
what I
that
was.
that also plays into the costs. I feel a lot too. You get a lot less. When you throw in the same amount versus like solvent extractions versus solventless.
Exactly, and that's why I wanted to touch on too with the BHO. It's a lot more cost effective as far as affordable, because of the yields. If we
Yep.
if us hash makers um, could receive those yields, we would be jumping up and down. As far as being able to give the community a better price. But I will
Definitely,
say,
and be
but I will
competitive with BHO.
but I will say, with more companies popping up, which is awesome in the community, in the industry out here in Oregon, I will say there's a lot of competition, and that makes for better pricing for the consumer, the patient. Uh, I think it's awesome. I can sell, or at our shop, I can sell a gram of live rosin from Left Coast Farms, washed by me, done by Bear, on a Saturday or Wednesday for $48 out the door.
That's a pretty
It's
good
awesome.
price.
I
Yeah,
mean
that's
that
not bad for
I
sure.
paid I
It's a
paid
great
90
price.
to I paid 90 to 120, I mean, a year ago, or and prior to that, Will, for something that I've always wanted. And like I said, that's the whole reason why I started making hash. Not only do I have passion for the plant, and the healing of it, but it's more, I want to manifest something that I want, and take the time and effort to get that, and that's just why I started making hash, because it wasn't around, and it wasn't, in hand's reach. It was a mission to get a gram of hash, and Will would always make sure I was taken care of, as far as, whether it was just one or two, here and there. It was just like, oh, it's just amazing, like. And
Yeah.
Pua being, someone I look up to and always have, out here in Oregon, as well as Barry's Bubble. Those are some great guys doing some great work out here. I mean, there's a lot of others I can mention, but it's just awesome to see people sacrificing, and taking discipline to make a great product.
No doubt. Okay,
Definitely.
so we're gonna see if anybody who is listening or tuned in to the YouTube right now, if any of you guys want to call in and ask any questions, the phone number to call in is 1-833-777-3227. That's 1-833-777-DABS.
Dabs. Cheers.
Yeah, shout out to Mitchell for grabbing that number, man. He's a cool cat, that guy. Is
Right
there
on.
any other questions that you want to ask, Will?
um, Not at the moment I can think of. I'll probably think of one in a bit here, but
Okay,
touched
I
on a
ha-
lot of the good ones, the ones I had in mind too.
I have one last cookie cutter question on my sheet. Um, Anthony, what sort of advice would you give to anyone who's trying to get into your area of expertise in the cannabis industry?
I would just say, don't give up. You know, you're going to take a lot of losses making hash, and you're going to think that it doesn't get better, or, you just got to keep pushing and keep striving, and, just manifest that product that you've always wanted, and it will come, by the right resin. And I just say, you know, hash is very special. And I feel like anyone that has a passion to do it in an industry in a smaller, big form, go for it. Just take the time and effort to do it the right way. I would give advice on, like you said, Will was saying is, you could grow a whole crop, and if you wash it, you're going to take a loss because you've never washed it before. Well, just make sure, you take the proper procedures when you're growing the resin and washing it.
No doubt, man. Caution. Use caution. Read up, kids.
Yeah,
Read
read
up.
up, hit me on the Instagram, Northwest Rays location, spreading it, that's what it's all about, you guys.
No doubt. I try to tell people too who are new that they should get on Instagram and follow some people, because there's people out there who are really giving knowledge, not just a picture, you know what I mean, but a paragraph saying what's going on, and that helps so much, and it saves a lot of time and effort, and it can direct people to research in certain areas where normally they're just Googling something and looking at each forum, where on IG it's like, nah, that guy's doing what I'm talking about and he's saying these phrases. I can look at that and figure out some more stuff.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I will say, I've studied Instagram for years. That's the platform, for the industry, for a lot of industries, as I'm known beer, for instance, now. But let's get back to the cannabis. I've followed many hash makers, out there, and looked up to them and kind of just reached out, to a few and got the love back. So I feel like there is a community in the hash, in this industry. As far as I a little advice I would say is just don't hold back from asking, like questions are important, and we should all feel that we can be open enough to ask, those on Instagram or, in person. Don't be shy. That's all I can say, because I've asked a lot of questions, in the last, 5 years about hash and, flower and growing. And all I can say is I just collected it all, and I'm seeing benefits from it, so definitely say don't stop, just keep focused.
Right on, dude. Right on. So, question we have next is, what do you have coming up next on the table, like on the future? What's on your agenda? Are you gonna go rec and try to get a rec license for your extraction, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big picture. I mean, in the future, of course, finances, and things of that sort, and then, it definitely takes a team to do that. But right now, my main focus is to just, keep washing hash, keep working hard, grinding hard, and hoping I can get an opportunity, to wash hash full time in the near future, locally. So that's just, I'm just staying humble and working hard, to get there. So
Yeah, dude, you definitely have a lot of knowledge on this part of the industry. I wish we could have had you on the cultivation episode too. We had Joshua Steensland on here.
right on.
I don't know if you follow him on IG, but he is no-till indoor.
Yes,
Dude,
I
and
love no till.
he still does flower rosin, I think, on the medical side in Washington. Like, he has a little home garden, but he's dude, I got to try some of his grease monkey flower rosin, and it was fire, bro. Like, I was
Oh
just
yeah.
totally impressed. Like, damn, dude, like, you smashed this out of the nugs. Like, that's crazy. And
Oh, it's
he
yeah.
would post pics all the time. Like, he'd have the little quarter-ounce bags that he put in between the plates, and I don't know. I just thought he was cool for spreading knowledge like that too.
That's what it's all about, bro. The community should be about teaching and helping others. That's what the true love behind it should be and always will be for me.
No doubt. And like, there was this one time I would watch his YouTube channel too, and he's no till indoor, right?
Yeah.
And so one time he went live wearing a Jungle Boys t-shirt. And so it was like dope. And someone in the comments was like, why is the biggest no till indoor guy supporting a t-shirt with the biggest hydro guys. And you know what I mean? And I just responded like, he's not being a hater is what he's doing. You know what I mean? And he just kind of replied like, thanks, thanks Petrelli82. But he's like, he said the same thing. He said, I'm trying to spread knowledge and I respect anybody else who's on here trying to do the same thing. So he's like, that's what the hydroponic researcher does. That's what Jungle Boys do. It's like they're showing you a way to grow that's different, and they're providing all kinds of information on how to do it. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
No,
I
I
thought he
think
was
that's
a cool
great.
cat.
That's what it's all about right there.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question we have, we don't want to stretch it too much further. We're gonna go till 9 if you're down to hang, Ao.
Oh, I'm hanging, bro.
Okay, so the next question we have is, what is Ao's preferred ingestion method? Smoke, edible, or concentrate?
I definitely prefer I prefer the flower. At the end of the day, it
Me
helps my
too.
it helps my anxiety the most. I mean, I just love the ritual of it. You know what I
Me
mean?
too. Me
You
too.
know, I love my bong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. If
But
I gotta go out in public, I gotta load a couple first, and then I feel okay. It's like
I
I can
feel
talk to people.
yeah, but secondary, it's got to be a nice live rosin hit, dab. But it's definitely gonna be the bong, man. That's my best friend for sure.
Word.
Nice
Same.
clean bong and some good herb, man. Well grown, it's like definitely.
No doubt. No doubt. Looking at my sheet here. I don't know how much else I have. Will, do you have anything that you want to add or ask of
Yeah,
AO?
yeah. So, at what point did you realize when you're washing, kind of like turned the corner when you realized that you were, you know, getting a lot better at it, and getting to the point where you could, start thinking about doing it, like, recreationally, or more full-time medically, because I know that for a while that you were growing a lot, doing a lot of like sun grown in your backyard, and basically for a few years there I just saw you washing pretty much all your crops. So
Yeah,
um
yeah.
yeah, just
So basically, I would say, like touched on earlier, dry material. I just don't get the, the end product that I ultimately am striving for in hash or rosin, for the quality. So once I start freezing, when I started freezing my plants a few years ago, I was new to it. I was like, I'm gonna go about it. I watched Hash Church, reached out to a few people about how to go about it, and when I first washed my Sunset Sherbet, I don't have the cut no longer, unfortunately, but I froze, my whole crop. And basically, my stepdad would grow greenhouse, and outdoor full season, and we would freeze it all, and I would freeze my, small crop I would do myself, and I just kind of try to manifest the most hash I could for, my head stash that way. But once I watched that Sunset Sherbet in a fresh frozen method, I was blown away. I mean, it was just white, opaque hash, greasy, like couldn't even microplane it, or sieve it. It was just, I mean, it was like a good problem to have, and I never had that problem. And once I seen the resin in the rosin form, I was blown away. I mean, the color was like very translucent or transparent, uh, and it would just tasted phenomenal. I mean, I was just really humbled you know, to try something that I created that was so good after, honestly, 2 years or year and a half of just, struggling washing dry material, wondering why am I not receiving the high grade product that I'm seeing on Instagram, or what I want, what I'm ultimately trying to strive for. So, there was times where I was like, man, is this, really worth it? But then at the end of the day, it was totally worth it. Like I said, even having a small, say I wash a pound, and get a quarter ounce of hash back. That's going to be the best quarter ounce of hash, or that jar is going to be so special no matter how much I washed, even though I took a loss financially or not. It's the medicine at the end of the day, is what I really do it for. And I did it for myself before anyone else. It was more of a personal medicine. That was just something I really wanted to create and manifest myself, and share it with others, and, get more of the reviewer feedback. It wasn't even, about $1. It was more about just, getting reviews, and seeing if people liked my product and if it was worthy, and I'm very humbled to say that I can create something that I really enjoy and other people enjoy too.
Yeah, dude. No doubt. Passion, bro.
Yeah, bro. We just at Left Coast, we just got concentrate of the month and Oregon Leaf, for May, for the Kush Cake, live rosin sauce by Bear Rosin, collabo.
Tight.
Between us three, but that was really cool, so humbled by that, man. It's just nice to get recognition by just working hard.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. One of the other questions we have from one of our T guys is there a certain strain that's your favorite, and what growers, I guess Left Coast for sure since you collaborate with them so often, but what growers are your preferred?
In the rec
Like
industry.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I would have to say definitely, Left Coast, U Green, uh, Geek Farms, they cultivate some great organic flowers,
I
Uh,
agree. That Huckleberry
yeah,
Diesel, I got to try that the last time I was back in Oregon, bro. That shit was fire, dude.
the TLC's
Super
there, you
good.
know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Uh,
it's like both profiles, the Huckleberry and the Diesel. It was like, dude, this is the bomb. I'm like,
yeah,
who did this? He's like, Geek Farms. I'm like, word.
hell yeah. And my favorite strain, since I'd say about 6-7 years ago has been Dog Walker OG, the Chem 4 times Albert Walker OG. I mean, by One Eye, it's something about that strain. I could smoke it every
That's one
day,
of
and
my
and
favorite
I get
strains
the
too.
same effects. I love gas, I love chem, I love OG, and
Same.
that's just everything I need in a strain. I could smoke it every day, so it's special to me, definitely.
Yeah. Man, I want to try and get him on the show sometime too, because I remember him from the garden store there on
Yeah,
Interstate.
Yeah,
And
Roots Garden Supply.
yeah,
yeah, he's a
Yeah,
cool
it's
cat.
pretty awesome too. One of the
Yeah.
thing you didn't that I never noticed was I've gotten quite a few garden supply things from there for the time I tried to grow 4 rec plants, and also for just my vegetable garden in the front. But the receipts, like if Rich checks you out, the receipts, the bottom of the receipts he prints says One Eye. So it's pretty funny. You can
I think that's pretty
get a little
cool.
hint there. Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, man. I mean, I give thanks every day that he created that. And Scooby Snacks, that's my number two.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
Scooby Snacks is
Hell
great.
yeah, dude.
nothing's touching those two for me, bro. Like, I mean, I love and appreciate a lot of strains. Kush Cake is probably in my top 5, definitely now.
I gotta try that, bro. What's the cross on that?
That's gonna be the Kush Mints number 11 times Wedding Cake by Seed Junkies. That's who bred it.
Damn.
Ooh,
Damn,
that
dude.
sounds up your alley, John. Sounds like
Yeah,
It's got
bro.
that earthy,
heavy hitting
gassy
shit.
OG.
Damn.
Earthy, gassy OG.
So does Left Coast have those flowers on the shelf in places in Oregon too, or is it just the
Yeah.
hash?
No, we got the rosin in, we got the flowers, so you could find it in Salem, where I'm at Truth Dispensary off Lancaster,
Dude, are
or
you
you could.
guys open on Sundays?
We're open 7 days a week, 365 a year, 8 a.m., 10 p.m. Come check us out. We got some of the best options. Our variety is off the hook. We got it
Tight.
all, definitely.
I fly into Eugene too, dude, and then I drive up to Portland with the rental, so I can just stop in there and
Well,
make
you
that
need to
move,
definitely
dude.
hit me up so you can stop, so we can make an arrangement and maybe meet up as well. And I can make
Yeah. No doubt, dude. I got your number. I'm definitely gonna do that. I gotta renew my card next time I'm in town too.
Yeah, most
I
definitely.
just
Just
it's
hit me
not the
up, brother.
same. It's not the same down here, bro. In Arizona, it's dude. Like
Well, when you come
there
out here, I'll make sure you're blessed and you're taken care of.
thanks, man. I appreciate it. We're getting close to the 5 minute mark, folks. Is there anything else that you want to ask or add to the conversation, Will Terps?
Yeah, I got one more question.
All
Uh,
right.
so what is basically what's the difference now between with a lot of hash makers are doing this freeze drying method, where they have a nice freeze dryer and can basically I guess it's cutting down the cure or the dry time. But I'm for a while it was you scoop the hash out of the bags and then you microplaned it or you sieved it and then you put it on drying racks, whether that be in a pizza box or like,
Yep.
oven racks
Baking trays, yeah.
baking trays. Yeah, exactly. So what are basically I'm asking, what are the benefits to the freeze dryer now? Is it an increase in quality too, or is it just the cutting down the dry time?
Honestly, it definitely, first and foremost, like I said, it's production. It's cutting down the dry time. It's saving labor. It's saving lost hash at the end of the day. When you go to microplane and sieve, you're always going to lose some hash, whether it's on your gloves or your fingers or in the on the microplaner itself. But on top of that, I want to definitely say when I use a freeze dryer compared to air dry, for some reason the color even lightens. So
Hmm.
overnight in the freeze dryer, I understand it pulls all the moisture. So I feel like that is where the color change comes and it kind of really lightens up even more to a lighter shade, you know. But first and foremost, I'll say that the freeze dryer is amazing. I mean, you're like I said, as hash makers, we're already working really hard in that lab and trying to make good hash and lifting, a lot. So being able to not have to microplane and sieve is so much more streamlined. So it just makes things that much easier and it's more cost effective. So you're saving a lot more money by not losing hash. Because every gram of hash is so important, and expensive, if especially if we're sacrificing and it's a small yield on a test pheno, or something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent question, Will. Excellent question.
Yeah, that was great, man. And let me touch on the air dry. That's what we've all known. That's the old fashioned, the original way. I still appreciate air dry, and that's what I do for my personal head stash. I mean, until I, purchase one, if I do plan on it. But I feel like it's just for the volume of material you're washing. If you're not washing a lot, there's no need to. I feel my rosin when it's air dried is just as good as a freeze dried rosin personally. I don't see much of a difference. Of course I haven't done side by sides because I don't grow those strains at Left Coast, but I definitely feel like they're both quality at the end of the day. They just got to be dried in a proper environment.
Nice, nice. Okay, so I guess we got about 2 minutes left. Aaron is or Anthony, is there anything that you want to add before you go? Is there any sort of concepts or projects you got coming up? Are you entering any competitions? Is there what do you want to let the folks know
Well,
about? And then also plug your IG and any other social media too.
yeah. So I definitely just want to let people know, for Left Coast, as far as if you're in Oregon, Left Coast Farms and Bear Rosin and myself, we got some Mac sauce, rosin sauce and batter coming, and we also have some Kush cake, I believe, sauce and batter as well. As we just started doing solventless cartridges. No, nothing cut. It's all the raw rosin itself. We got it into a consistency that it fits in the pen. So I definitely recommend checking those out. You can purchase the products in Salem. If you're in Salem at Truth Dispensary on Lancaster, like I said, or Herbal Remedies. Of course, Portland at Treehouse
Treehouse
Collective.
Collective,
Yep.
yeah. Right on Alberta,
We have
right?
that out there, and Americana,
On Sandy, I
definitely
believe.
has got our product. So definitely we're just going to keep working hard and hopefully get some new strains out here in the but definitely just follow my Instagram at NW and at Left Coast Farms and at Bear Rosin to check out, what's coming up next. I definitely keep everyone updated on there.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, Anthony.
Absolutely, man.
Really just
Appreciate you
a
guys.
wealth of knowledge, dude. Thank you for articulating that on our podcast. It means a lot.
Hey, I give thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity, guys. This is awesome. This is the first time doing any type of podcast, and I'm definitely humbled by it. So I appreciate everything, guys. Give thanks.
Thanks, dude.
Absolutely, man.
I'll hit you up the next time I slide to Oregon too.
Oh,
shout out to
please
Will
do, bro.
for hooking that up, man.
Absolutely.
Please do. Maybe me, you, and Will can grab lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell
Sounds
yeah.
great.
All right. Guys. So I'm gonna do my outro, folks. We gotta give a shout out to Anthony O'Bannon from Single Source WPFF Hash Rosin. He's an OLCC licensed extractor for Left Coast Farms. I also want to give a shout out to my co-host Will Terps. He should be returning to Oregon in a few weeks. Look out for that guy.
Yeah.
I also got to give a shout out to my guys in production, Mitchell Wilson and Jesse Curry. This has been a Main Node and Joseph Street Enterprise production.